Thanks, guys, for coming again to listen to this interesting and boring podcast at the same time. Today, I have a special guest with me, as all guests are. Ezequiel. And how do you say your last name?
Cruz.
Easy. Ezequiel Cruz. I'm drinking coffee at the same time, so you might get some food ASMR.
It's very hot coffee.
Yes. I've known Zeke since 2010 or 13.
Yeah. I mean, like I started Apple at like 2014.
Yeah.
And that was probably like one of the first times I ran into you.
Yeah. So, like every tech nut who loves Apple, I will go into the Apple store and just play around with the new tech. And Apple was the only, I guess besides Best Buy that caught on and did the same thing, but the only store that allowed users to go in and just play with their stuff.
Yeah.
And abuse it. And, yeah, so I was like, all right, there's a cool guy over there, can help me answer some questions, and definitely looks like he works out. So I identify with that right away, and we hit it off. So,
I think you had that Geek from the Gym hoodie on.
Yeah.
You used to have like your own, like the custom like hoodie and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was when I was just doing things for fun. I was that geek for the gym for a long time. That was like my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was literally just my workouts every day. I would post it. I didn't know anything about getting on the algorithm or anything like that. I was just doing it for myself. That page now is,
I think, is it gone? Deactivated?
I think I reactivated it and turned it private.
Okay.
Because a lot of memories are on there too.
Yeah.
A lot of kids stuff. Stuff from like 2010, 2008, I think. When Instagram, before they sold to Meta. So I had stuff there.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah, so I met you there. And we kept in touch, social media and everything like that. Then you patronized the restaurant, which I really appreciate. And you married your coworker too.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zeke's wife.
Self-reach.
Yeah, you're cool.
You're cool.
Yeah, you're definitely cool.
You're pretty cool.
You're down to earth. And then you guys now have a beautiful baby girl.
She just turned 3 on the 5th. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So, why'd you leave Apple?
Oh, man. I mean, for me, like, back then, it was like, like when you're working retail, it's, you're waking up, on a weekend, right? And It's like, oh, man, I got to go to work. I'd rather be off. I have family who, like, do, like, birthday events or like sporting events. I have nephews who are like all young, and I felt like I was missing so much of those like little things. Like my sister would be like, hey, can you come over, watch the boys? I'm like, I can't, I'm working.
Yeah.
And I think like anybody, like trying to find that work-life balance and just trying to not be so committed to the grind and actually like get some time for me and trying to like get a structure for like the gym. Like, I would get out of work sometimes at like 9:00 and then go to the gym after that, and then try and like have fun, like post, workout and try to like relax or maybe chill for a little bit. And then like the next thing you know, you're like, all right, I got to wake up and do it all over again.
And you're basically a robot.
Yeah, a robot.
Was the pay at least good though?
It was, yeah. I mean, like, I think it's so much better now. I think like during COVID and post-COVID, like they really incentivized people to stay and like trying to like keep people there.
Yeah.
Because of like everything that the Apple like workforce dealt with just like customers and like the craziness of it and everything there. But it was good pay from where I used to work at Costco. I used to work at the Costco warehouse, and like that was good, and Costco's a great company too. But from where I was to where I jumped into Apple, it was like it was a bump, right? So I don't remember what I started at, but it was enough to keep me there. And then they had like benefits, and their time off was pretty flexible.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing that I loved about Apple was because when I was at Costco, it was very much like everybody just clocked in and clocked out. And like that's
Worker
not,
bee.
Dude, yeah, and I'm not that person, right? I work an office job now.
Yeah.
And it's like it confines me. You know what I mean? I'm a social butterfly, if you want to call it that. I'm a very social person. I like to meet people. I like to work with people face to face, interact, and just show my enthusiasm that way. But it was just so much of that when I was at Costco that I was like, I gotta like meet people. And luckily I had a friend who got me in, and it was a joke. I was like, oh, like, what's the chance of me getting hired at Apple? He's like, dude, apply. And so I did, got in, and it was like I felt like I was like going back to high school, because it was just, everybody's so chill, everybody's so different. Like there's creatives, from photographers to artists to musicians to gym goers, right? Like I met some of my closest friends even now still like work out, and they always talk about my videos and stuff like that, but I'm like trying to still keep them engaged with their fitness life.
Yeah.
But it was just, it felt like a family. Like to this day, like I love Apple because of the people I met and just the culture. The culture is so big for me anywhere you go.
You know who came? I think you work with him too. Big dude. He used to work at Apple, then in Manhattan. Akbar. Akbar came like 2 weeks ago for dinner.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He works now. He's dispatched for 911
Is he really?
in Newark, I think. But
I know he was doing the boxing thing for a while.
yeah, Akbar's the man. Akbar, he's very genuine. You know,
He is.
like he wears his heart on his
yeah.
for sure. So Akbar, you're the man. If you're not lying, yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I like to think that Apple gave us the ability to expand on our art, you know, and passion.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job at giving the users what they want, like copy and paste on their software. I remember that was a huge thing. First, it was, you know, a touchscreen phone.
Yeah.
And then it was copy and paste. And then the App Store. So I put cardamom, by the way, in the
I was gonna say, I thought this was tea at some point.
Yeah.
And it tastes good. I like.
Thank you. Yeah, cardamom is great for you. It's antiviral, antibacterial. You pair that with anything.
You could have told me it was tea the whole time, and I would have. Well, this is green.
Like smoky tea. But why'd you get into fitness? And how much weight did you gain and lose?
You know, it's like it was always like a roller coaster of trying to like find the perfect weight, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, it was so drastic to try and like lose weight, but it was so drastic of like the weight that I gained during certain times in my life too.
Were you always a fat kid growing up? Because I definitely
I was like skinny up until like, man, like maybe like 8, 9, or 10. Like I remember, because I used to do like Little League. I was pretty like thin, like you know, lanky kid, active. And then as soon as I got into like just maybe like that preteen era, right? Like it was just like I started to pack the weight on very quickly, and I didn't think of it as anything. Like,
you at home most of the time playing video games. You stop doing outdoor stuff.
Yeah. Definitely playing video games a lot, right? Like just N64, rocking out, hanging out with friends. And back then it was like any cereal I wanted, right? Sugar cereal, soda, no limit to what you could eat. Fast food was whatever. Like I always joke around, say like I'm Puerto Rican Italian, and so like there's carbs and like meats are both sides, and like all this stuff that like you don't really in my culture have a education or hey like proportion and all this stuff, like how much to control of what you eat and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean by like, you know, 13, 14, I was already like at a good weight for my age. Like I remember rocking like 3XLs, not for like the style, but because it was like what I felt comfortable in.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, right? Like if I wore that now, it would look like a dress.
Yeah, like
it would look crazy. It would look crazy. And even now, like when I wear stuff, like this is like an oversized shirt naturally.
Yeah.
But I don't like to wear things that are too tight, and I also don't like to wear things that are too oversized, because I just physically like look at myself and I'm like, I can't even tell who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I like to have like a good sense of like the aesthetic.
You know, growing up, so both parents worked. One worked at night, one worked in the day. And so they gave us whatever they could give us for lunch, this and that. Sometimes parents would forget lunch, so they get us like Burger King, McDonald's, or pay for the food days. But I got really heavy to the point where, you know, I got man boobs. And yeah, so whenever we would shop at Shoppers World in South Plainfield, which was like a / thrift store / clothes from overseas that they got very cheap that no one would want to buy, I would always get like the button down Hawaiian shirts. I would wear undershirt, t-shirt, and Hawaiian shirt just to hide the man boobs because I was so self-conscious of like what people might think or say.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was unhealthy, and I'm sure you can definitely relate. Like parents working so they could put food on the table,
Yeah.
and get us our school supplies, which is like ridiculous now. Like every year, I mean, you'll experience this too when your girl like goes to school. They'll give you a list. You have to drop a good $200-$300 every year.
Or like the supplies and everything like that.
Supplies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's insane. Like they got it for Amazon. Amazon has a lot of this stuff that's very, very competitive, more than ever. But back to growing up, like obviously hormones played a part of this and that. And for me, my aha moment was when I was in freshman year of college first semester, and I walked up like 3 flights of stairs, and I was just like, why am I winded?
Yeah.
I'm like 18.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? I'm 18. I go to the gym, yeah, for like strength and stuff like that, but like I should really make good use of my time.
Yeah.
And then 2008, 2010, I got to like 160 from like 190.
Yeah.
And I was happy with that. Had abs and everything. Got married in 2008 too. So that was like 2007 actually. But then gained weight after you get married. You know, you gain at least 10, 20 pounds. Yeah, get ready, cool boss. You're gonna gain that weight too. So I might as well just start getting jacked now. And in running, invest in running. But yeah, then I got to like 197, dude, like recently. And August I was 197. I'm like, COVID's over.
Yeah.
Like my face is so wide.
Yeah.
And I have 3 kids, and I'd like to live and watch them grow up.
100%.
So our 2 chefs here, they lost like 20, 30 pounds running. I'm like, oh God, I hate running. You know, like I don't see the appeal to it at all. But then it's cool. You see YouTubers and they're just like, yeah, I got the Apple Watch, did like 5K miles in the morning and this and that. And I'm just like, how? Like, they're like marathon runners.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe if I invest in the tools, then I can use them to my advantage. So I got $150 Hokas, which I
like my Hokers actually.
Yeah, they don't make them wide. I had a special order of that. Yeah, right. A friend of mine, customer too, she gave me these like Vibram style running shoes. So they're like flat in the front, not cushiony, but good in the back. So your ankles and everything, your feet, the back ball doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So I have to make a video of that. I'm sorry. I will make a video. Excuse me, and I will post it and tag you guys in the company. So other than that, I've been running 2 miles a day.
That's good. I saw the video you talked about. That's
Yeah. Dude, it's insane. Like I'm at 182 now.
from 201.
From 197 in August.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like 14, 15 pounds. And I want to at least get back to like 170 or 165.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons besides that is, you know, when you have a spouse, they're your partner and everything, and they'll be unfiltered. So,
they'll say stuff, whatever they want.
yeah, dude, they'll say what's on their mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and then if you feel bad, they'll be, oh, crap, you felt bad when I said that.
Yeah, yeah.
So my wife is like, listen, you're as wide as you'll ever get, fat or not fat. You're built up muscularly, right? Well, like, you don't look good. You know, she's like, get lean. You know?
Do you think it was some place of like, I love you and I want to help you? Or was it just like, I want to call you out and say like...
Those are the words that she'll never say.
Yeah, yeah.
She's like, listen, it's not for me, it's for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think you should lose some weight because realistically, if you lose some pounds, it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know, like everything starts from your tongue.
Health-wise, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like good microbiome, you need that. Fiber, which we lack, is very important.
And I tell you, it's funny because I didn't, like I get fiber through the company that I work with, Revive.
Yeah.
But when I started going into like my bodybuilding prep stuff, one of the like recommended supplements was like Metamucil. And like I never like was like, I've taken it before, but I never realized how much more it helps me now.
Yeah.
With, how much I'm eating and just making sure that I'm actually like digesting my food.
A lot of people think Metamucil is for old people.
Right.
Is it like 36? Yeah.
And I'm like, that was my pre notion.
I'm just like, don't knock it till you try.
Exactly. It's good. I actually enjoy it because I don't drink a whole lot of sweets. So
Yeah.
it's like maybe Diet Coke,
Yeah.
water with like Mio, which I recently just started doing because I don't really enjoy the flavor of water, but when I have cravings, it's good.
Yeah.
And then my Metamucil tastes like an orange juice. So it's like, those are the drinks that I have.
And you know what's crazy is like you have to drink it right away.
Yes,
Like it solidifies.
it's disgusting.
Yeah. But you know what? That's what's happening in your stomach.
Yes.
You know? Like what I have like a whole thing of Metamucil from Costco. Shout out to Costco. Please sponsor this podcast. But they sold really well compared to Amazon. And I was like, all right, let me try this out. And it tasted amazing. And the best thing is like I feel full. I would take a thing after I eat.
Yeah.
And I'm just full. And the best part, I kid you not, is like when you go to the bathroom.
It's perfect, right? Like I never miss a day where I don't shit.
Yeah.
Sorry if I curse, but
That's okay.
like
It's natural.
there's never a missed day.
Yeah. And you know, it sounds funny, but like you can tell how healthy you are, especially with your gut, based off of your droppings.
Right.
You know?
Right.
If they're watery, right? You know, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
If they're like strong and like girthy, then you know that you're eating well, you're doing everything well. Just keep on going.
My shit's legit.
That's right. That's definitely in one of your songs too. Speaking about songs, let's segue into your music career.
Cool.
I just want to say your first album really hit home. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Anyone can make music, but to actually write music and let it hit emotionally to someone, it's like another level. It's like when you teach someone something and then they'll use that every day for the rest of their lives and teach to others, right? Like your music for me was definitely helping me get into the zone at the gym, and it helps you, like for me as a man, like there's different milestones in my life, like having kids, breaking away from a toxic family environment to get me to become my own person, open my own business. And your music really, really like it vibed really, really well.
I appreciate that. Like you say that.
Yeah, no, it really does. And then so whenever like I try and get friends to come on to your stuff, download it, they like it. They do. Like, wow, this guy's really awesome. His production is like top notch, this and that. So that's why whenever I see you, I always keep telling you, push for the next album. And then you did the next album, which was amazing too, which is definitely amazing. But what's the name of the album in case anyone wants to download it?
So the first album is called The Journey. Second album is called The Third Born.
And then how can they find you on Spotify or Apple? Like, what's your artist name?
Ease the Kill. So EAZETHEKILL. It's all one word. And you should be able to find it. Yeah.
So why music? Like, what started you from writing? Like, from what I can gather, you got a tough childhood.
Yeah.
Tough childhood. And what better way to express emotion than through music?
Sure.
But like, tell me about that.
Like, so music for me was like always something like I vibe to, like whether it's at the gym, whether I'm driving, whether I'm just like working from home, like music sets the playlist of like what defines me, right?
Yeah.
Energy, the mood. And so like when it was, getting into music, I was dealing with a lot, I think from like 12 or 13, and my parents were splitting up. I had no control over that. It was just like going with the flow, like what they said mattered. And I was just a kid who like just went with it.
You had like a Latino upbringing, right?
Yeah. So I'm Puerto Rican and Italian. And so like,
Who's who?
My dad is 100% Puerto Rican. My mom is 50% Puerto Rican, 50% Italian. And so, like, it was just so different because I'm from Carteret originally. So it was a little bit more like city, urban-like. And when we split, I went to like more South Brunswick, Plainsboro, like a little bit more suburbs.
Yeah.
And so it was like this back and forth between like living in like a city area to like the suburbs. And then like the lifestyle was so different because all these kids are like Abercrombie and Fitz and preppy. And then I'm like coming there with like hoodies on, baggy shirts, baggy, sweats and stuff like that. And it was just like trying to like find like where I fit in on top of dealing with like the relationship that I had with my mom.
Yeah.
She was going through a lot, I think because of the divorce, and that kind of really ignited the fire, literally. I think when I was 12 was probably the first time that I listened to like the Eminem show. And it was like one of my brother's CDs, and it was just like, yo, I found it, and it was like I think the first song was like White America, and it was just like the emphasis on like his like I never would have dreamed in a million years I'd see, and I was like, damn, like he's going fucking hard, like he's really just going at it. And then listening to him, I was like, holy shit, oh, like this guy, oh, like that's like literally what feels like what's happening in my life right now. Like my mom is crazy.
Yeah.
Literally, I felt like she was crazy. And she was. Well, I still love her. And it was just like it was, I think that got me to get like one of those old school like black and white notebooks, like composition notebooks. And I was just like trying to figure out how to write a line, how to do a bar. And they were crazy things back then. It was like terrible. It was just like I still have my notebooks because I think she had them and then gave them to me years later.
Yeah.
I'm reading them. I'm like, yeah, I remember this. I'm like, this shit was trash.
Dude, let's see. Just to shout out, Ubaz, if you need to fix anything at any time, yeah, that's fine.
So low, too low.
Yeah. This is Gulbaz, by the way. Shout out to Contrast Media. So if you guys ever need any type of social media, anything, he's got the hardware, he's got the software, he's got the brains. Right? You got it, Gulbaz. Again, Contrast, Khan Trast Media. Surprisingly, he's the only one with a handle with a cool play on words like that. So, good job, Gulbaz. But back to that, dude. Whenever I see things that I wrote as a kid on my AOL screen name, Moose on the Loose.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, how cringe was I? You know? But then you're just like, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know, I was 10, 15, going through puberty, wondering how come people didn't like me. And like back then you could eat whatever you want. But then you're just like, how come I don't have these kind of friends? Even in like elementary school, there was a tag club. And the head of the tag club was called, his name was Chris Say. And I could remember very clearly that he's just like, no, you can't be part of it. And it was only the cool kids. I was like, why not? I can run just as fast as these mofos.
Yeah.
And I can tag too. But then you realize, or I realized at a young age, it's like, they don't want someone that they don't know or think cool, play, and one-up them. I'm just like, all right, well, so
What if he's better than me?
yeah, right? In the end, dude, like, you saw it too, like, growing up here in America, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, we were privileged.
Yeah.
You know, we definitely are privileged compared to our third-party counterparts. Third-party counterparts. But a kid doesn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, you can just raise your kids and be like, yeah, well, there's other kids in third world countries that they don't have this. They don't. What does the kid know or care about?
Yeah.
Their world is with you, and they care about you now and what they have, what they don't have, and they need an understanding. You know, you can never give hypotheticals to a child and be like, hey, if you did this or if you did that. But if you actually get down to their level and explain to them, or if you, like my parents, they're just so busy working that they couldn't really explain much.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm
For
sure
there.
with you and the divorce and everything like that, did you go to therapy or anything like that at all?
It's so funny you said that. They had me go to therapy, right? Like, we should take them. And it was like, it was, for me at that age, it was like, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm fucking 10.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I feel. I just know I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
I have my first therapy session today, later on.
Wow.
And it was something that,
As an adult?
as an adult, like first time ever where like, maybe this could be good for me. And like everything that I've been through, and just, I've looked to grow every year. And I'm finally at this place in my life where like, I want to grow more and more mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I know that there's still places in life that if I work harder at, like therapy, that I maybe could just get even further to be successful, right?
Yeah, dude.
And
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And so, today, later on, I've got my first little like consultation thing. And
Was it online or in person?
I think, everything I think since COVID is virtual.
Okay.
But a good friend of mine recommended it to me. And we related through similar life, styles and stuff like that. That I was like, maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah.
Because like, think you need it, or like I'm not the type of person to be like, I need help.
It's
I like
taboo
like
in most cultures,
yeah,
fortunately, about talking about your problems because they look at it as, why are you complaining? Look what you got.
right. Especially as a guy, right? I know you've posted a lot about that, like mental health, men's mental health, and just
Shout out to November Men's Mental Health, yes, sir, month. You have brothers out there, guys. Even though it's a man's world, it's still tough. So,
yeah.
well, yeah,
But no, it was like for me, I'm like, yo, I overthink a lot, or I think so much, right? Like when the day ends, right, or when the work day ends, you clock out, or when the gym that 2 hour session is done, like you go back to reality and everything's just like, okay, here
Yeah.
it is, right? You're just back in it. And so it's like, how do you work through life and process everything day to day, whether you have a good day, a bad day, an okay day, an exciting day, like
Yeah.
a frustrating day.
Yeah.
And I just feel like for me, I'm like at that point where like I'm willing to be vulnerable enough to be like, yo, I think this could actually benefit me. I feel like everything else in life right now is great.
Yeah.
So why not, you know?
I mean, we have these walls that we put up, whether it's our insecurities or it's so that we don't show any sign of weakness. And it's really important to just let it down with someone that's qualified and that won't judge you, but is paid to help you.
Right.
So that's really, really important. I recommend anyone who feels that way. I think what gets you into therapy is if you at least, in my opinion, sat down once alone and just cried,
Yeah.
or took a nice long shower and cried in the shower. Because for example, you're most vulnerable at night by yourself,
Yeah.
or you're most vulnerable in the shower by yourself. And then what the word that I've learned is spiraling more than overthinking. We spiral more and more. And that's what keeps us up at night. And that's what kept me up at night too when I was kicked out of my dad's restaurant and house and we were homeless. But what really helped with that was if you're in your bed and you're just staring at the ceiling and you're like, I know I need to sleep. I have a busy day tomorrow, but I just can't stop thinking of why this person did this. Why did they say that? Or what if, this doesn't happen? The number one thing I've learned is that nothing's happened yet. And you don't know what other people are thinking, no matter how much evidence you have, or even if they said it. Like in the end, like tomorrow's a new day. So the best you can do is get your sleep and prepare and be ready and not react. But you can act on the things that you need to be ready for.
Sure.
It's weird. I'm like 37 now, and as an adult with like 3 kids, it still doesn't feel like I'm a father, and it doesn't feel like I'm an adult or even a business owner. When I first opened this business, people were like, wow, you should be so proud of yourself. You opened a business, this and that. And I'm just like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm content.
Yeah.
I beat myself up a lot.
Sure.
I'm never proud of myself. Even though other people are proud of me or this and that. I mean, I guess like you could say my number one critic is my wife.
Okay.
I'll say, yeah, I think I did a good job on this. And then she'll point out, well, you did do a good job, but it could be better. So, maybe think about it next time.
But no, thanks.
She definitely grounds me.
That's good though.
To some people, it may be toxic.
No, I understand.
But she definitely lets me take my wins.
Yeah.
And doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to important stuff, she definitely keeps my ego in check for sure.
That's good. That's good.
Also, another book I highly recommend you read. It's called Ego is the Enemy. Forgot the author, so I'm sorry, author. But audiobook or actual book.
Yeah.
It's really modern day writing on how ego feeds into everything.
Oh, I believe it.
I believe. Dude, all these like young kids, right? You ask them like, what do you want to do when you grow up, or what do you want to be? Half of them want to say, I want to be a Twitch streamer, or I want to be
right. Yeah, entrepreneur.
But then they don't understand the hard work, the algorithm. They don't understand saving money to just at least get things going.
Yeah.
Buying tech.
Yeah.
All that stuff. They don't understand. So at this point, they get lazy. It's hard work, dude, without a doubt. Like, let's talk about like for you, for example, you have the hardware now. and you have the means, your body shows hard work, basically what it is.
Yeah.
You know, your diet shows hard work. So now what's next? What shows hard work is your social media. That way you can reach out and inspire others and get them to just do the same as you.
Yeah.
You know, have you met any fans from social media or anything like that? On like, do they say, "Yo, thanks Zeke for like inspiring me or tell me what to do, this and that"?
I find that like the friends who it's funny, like the friends who I've met in the gym,
Yeah.
you know, from whether it's being at the one that I'm at now or like a place that I've visited, like those people I think see the grind on the day to day.
Yeah.
And I think they've come to appreciate it. And I that's I think what I want to leave as an impact, right? Like it became so much of like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Like, here's this awesome like lift that I did or anything like that. And then it became like, well, this all started, like the whole reason I got into content creation was to kind of like, yes, show my progress. That's why it's called Grow with Ease. That's why Ease is that name. But it was like, yo, like, am I taking away from that? Am I actually inspiring people? Like, I need to kind of like reevaluate how this makes me happy and fulfills me and really kind of like go back into that. And so like, when I do get that feedback, it's nice because that's all I need, right? That's the gratifying feeling of like knowing that I'm making an impact somewhere. Like some company just reached out to me a little while ago. It was like, yo, you're like, I really like your post.
Yeah.
And like, that's enough, right? Like to say like, okay, there's somewhere some awareness of like me, right? Like when you see like the algorithm kind of working in your favor,
I see your value.
they see the value. They're seeing like this person's like showing up every day, no matter what. Like sometimes I hate bringing out my camera, but I know that it's my job to put that out there.
That's right.
Because if not, then it's like a day of regression, right? It's a day that you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And then you get into like your head and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this today and all this stuff. And
Yeah, dude, it's all about habits. You know, like if you want to do, all right, so we're always thinking like, oh man, I should just eat more veggies, for example. I should be more healthy. I should maybe take 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know the big goal, but how do we get there?
Right.
You have to be a little crazy and a little selfish in order to get what you know you need.
Yeah.
You know, for example, for me, with the weight loss is what really helped is like 1 to 2 meals a day or 1.5 meals. And so you have to like calm the brain down because, dude, in the end, like your biggest critic is your brain too.
Yeah.
You know, your body's telling you want to do something. You want to grab that bag of chips. You want to eat some sugar, or you want to just go home, watch TV, eat Doritos.
I think you even said it before too, like with their ego, right? Like, I'm very spiritual, right? Whether it's like, you know, listening to something from like a different religion or just like perspective from a different religion or just like my own. And I still go through it, but like there's these affirmations by Deepak Chopra and the E is like, it's A through Z. So yeah, E is like ego. And for him, like he defines it as ego means edging God out.
Yeah.
And so like for me, it was always like how much as a person am I keeping my spirituality in check versus how much am I letting that slip away from me? Because the more spiritual I try and be, and I'm not perfect, man, and I'm not like this Jesus freak or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I know that growing up, right, we went to church and we had a faith foundation, and I try and keep that with me, knowing that I'm still human, right? Like I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to curse. I'm going to like have the same feelings and emotions as the everyday person because I'm just like them. But I try and like use that as my moral compass to help me like stay structured.
Good.
You know?
That's dude, that's important. It's tough because we all are born into a religion, right? And then our parents emphasize it with culture, and we're just like, why, right? And then they tell us either because we said so or because it's good for you. And then later on, when you're an adult, you know, you can either be rebellious for some time.
Yeah.
We forget God, and then we end up something drastic happens, and then we need God all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting to see, like, so for example, in Islam, we're supposed to pray 5 times a day, right? And I like to say most people try their hardest to do that. It's really hard to wake up in the morning right before daylight to pray, but you know, there's a There's a call for prayer 5 times a day. And specifically in the morning, it says prayer is better than sleep, right? So during Ramadan last year, we'd be awake to eat before the sun rises, and I'd stay up to do my prayer and then go back to sleep, right? And I felt this was the first Ramadan where I felt like, every day that I prayed in the morning, I felt like there was an armor for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it could be mental, even if like you say a prayer right before you get in the car.
Yeah.
And even if you feel like it protects you in any type of scripture, this and that, like in the end, it's how you personally feel with your connection with God. And even though this last year was probably one of the craziest like years of my life, like baby was born, baby was hospitalized, daughter was hospitalized. I opened a new business. Now I'm suing those partners from the new business, and all that stuff aside is just, I bought a house. Now I'm not even living in the house. I'm renting it out. I'm living with my parents. Now they're getting a divorce, and it's just like a roller coaster of things. But I look at it like as two things. One, God is always testing us, even if we don't know it. Yeah. God knows we'll move away just to come back 10 times harder, right? And then another thing is I saw on a round table with actors, and I know this is a horrible example because they're all like kind of douchey and stuff, and they always try and throw that inspirational quote here and there. But I honestly think this guy is very down to earth and straight. Tom Hanks. Shout out to Tom Hanks. Please like and share this post because you're the man and you're one of my favorites ever since Forrest Gump. But he said he read somewhere that this too shall pass, right? And then my friend said it to me, not the Tom Hanks skit, but something else. Or I think a king from Saudi Arabia, he had it inscribed on his ring. So whenever you have the good times, it's not going to last forever.
Right.
And then whenever you have the bad times, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
So this too shall pass all the time really like stuck with me. So you can prepare for the worst of times as well as the best of times, but just remember that life goes on.
Yeah.
Even when we're gone, life goes on. So that's why I'm just like, stick to my prayers at least and keep going on just being a good, honest person, and everything will fall in place.
Yeah.
Like with your upbringing, my upbringing, and just how crazy it is. Like my parents would fight every time we were small. So sometimes I would think, if they got a divorce, would it really be the worst thing in the world?
Yeah.
And it's tough because I'm sure you've looked back at it now, and your therapist would bring it up too, because your therapist will go deep into the whole divorce thing, and there's like some unhealed wounds there. But like, for example, my dad took us into the basement, me and my siblings, and he's like, listen, I'm going to be leaving your mom, so you guys have to choose. Who do you want to go with? Right? That then and there, I'm just like, I'm 10 years old. I want to go eat some cereal and play some video games. Right. I don't understand anything about adult things. So, but it's kind of like a little scar, a little wound that grows over time.
Yeah.
Like for them asking that, then I had a fear every time they would argue. Are they going to leave each other? Are they going to disappear? Who's going to raise us?
Right.
How are we going to pay for things? And it, like I said, it spirals. Like your brain spirals. And then you go to sleep, and then the next day you wake up, you're like, okay, let's, you forget about it till in the middle of the day. So how was it for you when you got the news of the divorce? And how was it when you put yourself on autopilot?
I think that's, I think like initially it was like, okay, like we kind of like felt the vibe of what was going on. And I think just little by little, it was like, okay, this is happening. Okay. Like,
Did you have friends who also had divorces with the parents, or only from TV?
Like, again, I think because we grew up in a place of like religion, like, we were going to church with families, right? Like, it wasn't ever like, I think when people found out that our parents were getting divorced, it was like, oh my God, like, yeah, they're getting divorced.
It is also
and it felt like you were just like, we were like, oh, the Cruzes families, like, it felt like we were just like put on the spotlight and everybody's like either like, are you okay, or like, all of this, and you step away from the church a little bit because of like,
People
the
talking.
shame.
Yeah.
It's like, not trying to be involved with that. But back then it was just like, I stood with family friends for like the end of the summer into going, like staying with them. Yeah. So like maybe the school year, half of my 7th grade, like I was staying with them until my mom kind of like up and came back.
Yeah.
Because my dad was always working.
Yeah.
And he was responsible for my older brother and sister. And so when she came back, it was like, I'm going to take the younger two, and that's how we'll do this. And it was kind of just, again, like it was on autopilot, I guess you can say, because it was just like we just went with the flow and kind of adjusted to it.
Yeah.
And that was from the 7th grade until like 2021. And then I moved back with my dad at some point before I joined Apple. And
Yeah.
it kind of just became like I can make my own decisions now.
Yeah. But you're able to see both parents all the time.
Yeah, because it was like, my dad would come pick me up, or like they drop me off, but it was just like, it wasn't ever, I think I shared this with somebody recently, it wasn't ever like growing, it wasn't like getting to know them.
Yeah.
It was really just like staying with them because that's where you had to go. Like, and I think that's part of where I see my life now is like, I love the relationship that like my dad has with my daughter.
Yeah.
Because like I see that like connection,
Yeah.
right? And, like we had that when we were younger, but like I think when I didn't get that throughout like my teenage years, it wasn't like I never had the sex talk. I never had like any of those talks. So it was just like, I'm just going through it. I never experienced that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it leaves a hole. It definitely does, whether it's in your brain or in your heart or in your soul. So because I work all the time here at the restaurant, my wife, because she's a stay-at-home mom now with the 3 kids, especially with the third one who had some medical conditions here and there, and the kids are raised by her, and she's the caretaker and all of that stuff. More power to her. Shout out to her. I told her, though, I was like, listen, I've been reading up and I've been checking out these YouTube videos and everything like that, not just in our religion and Islam, but also culturally as well as in life. We're fortunate enough to have both parents in the kids' lives, right? Me and her.
Yeah.
But what's important for the boy, as well as the younger boy, once he's older, is that they need to have a male presence,
Yeah.
Some people will be like, oh, no, that's not true, this and that. But I'll give you an example. So father's always working, and this is in like Saudi Arabia or Dubai or Afghanistan, right? So the father's always working. The mother is teaching the kids about Islam, growing up, this is that. It's like one boy and like 3 girls. So the boy is being raised by the mother for the most part. The father wakes up in the morning, goes to work, comes back late at night, hangs out with the kids, and then goes to sleep. And repeats it like 7 or 6 times a week. And then so it was Eid, which is like when we celebrate, go to the mosque and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so he takes his son to the men's section, and then they do their prayer. But there's a way how it's done where the women put their hands up, whereas the men put their hands down. He sees his son put his hands up, and he's like, no, put your hands down. He's like, yeah, but I saw everyone else doing it like this way.
Yeah.
And then that's when the father realized that I need to be more present.
Yeah.
Being a father for male and female children is not just about like raising them, holding their hand, teaching them how to cut the grass or, deal with emotions, but it's just being there. It's like 99% of the time it's just being there, right? Like, yeah, now we can FaceTime our kids, this and that. I used to always call my dad and be like, hey, Dad, what's up? What are you doing? And my dad would just be like the same quick kind of thing. Everything's all right. I'm making chicken when he was working at a fried chicken shop. And then he'd ask me questions. Everything okay? What's your mom doing? This and that. Did you cut the grass? But like, that's it. Like for me with my kids now, I go into stories. I ask every time I pick them up, right? I say, like, what did you do today in school?
Yeah.
Was it a good day?
Yeah.
Did you eat all your food? What was your food?
Yeah.
And how's your friends? Right? That gets them thinking. But if they don't answer you, they're like, it's good, this and that, right?
My daughter always says, I'm like, how's school? She goes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Always.
There you go. She created a repertoire with you.
Yeah.
Now if something bothers her, she'll be quiet about it because she doesn't know how to communicate with you on it. But that's why you don't pry, but you give it time, and then later on you be like, listen, we were in the car and you didn't tell me about your day. I really, really want to know about your day.
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Kids need to communicate with the parents. Growing up, I did in the beginning. I had ADD, and I guess I still do. ADD, ADHD, and OCD. And they got to a point where, like, listen, like, calm down, stop talking. Right, it's a little too much now.
You got too much energy for me.
Yeah, and with parenting, and I get it. With 3 kids, it's a lot when you work all day, 12-hour shifts, and you just want a little bit of peace. You want to eat your food and stuff like that. But to be honest, when you're a parent, like, that's your job.
Yeah.
You can get peace when you go to sleep. You can get peace when you're in the bathroom even, right? But those kids look at you as like Superman or Superwoman, and then they're going to model themselves growing up based off of how you're acting and how you're reacting.
Yeah.
So that's why, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but I keep that in the back of my mind every time I communicate with my kids, even when they're like, Daddy, can you buy this toy? And I'm just like, I don't have money. They're like, well, then can you work and get money? I was like, yeah, I can work and get money, but you won't see me as often.
It's like, which one do you want?
Yeah. And then I can see them like processing in the background. They're just like, all right, you can work an extra hour.
It's like, all right, I want this. So
they're like, this time. But next time, then you're staying with us. So, but yeah, dude, I'm excited for you when you have your next kid. Or when the kid goes to like full-time school.
Yeah.
I take my kids to private school. So I drive them every morning, and sometimes I'll pick them up too. Or I have family members. We're, thank God, fortunate enough to have family members to pick up this and that, because all of our kids go to the same school. And it's the best. Like this morning, I would play the Quran for the kids because they have to memorize. And then also sometimes before that, I would play some kind of song to get the creative juices going, right? But today I did the Quran, and then I ended with classical music. Now there's a whole bunch of studies with children at a younger age on pairing classical music with like work and this and that, and it just hits on another note.
Yeah.
And it expands brain chemistry or whatever you want to call it. But I think that is the way to go when it comes to morning time, obviously with breakfast and everything too.
I was just going to say, like, our breakfast is like usually spent together. Like my wife puts together like our breakfast and our foods, and kind of we're getting all our day started. But like whenever it's her and I at the kitchen table, my daughter and I, it's like I'm eating and then she gets on my lap, and we're just like, sometimes she'll want to pick up my food because she sees the things that I like, and like she kind of has gravitated towards like a healthier lifestyle. But it's like those like moments before I take her to school that I just like appreciate so much. And then I got to get her like socks on or shoes on.
You set the tone.
You have to. Yeah.
You know what I learned too? It's and then I see with the kids treating each other, it's how I treat my wife and how she treats me.
Yeah.
It's how the kids treat each other.
Yeah.
And how they treat others. Yeah. Too. And it just, when you see little versions of yourself, you're like, crap, I need to do a better job.
I see myself so much with my daughter sometimes, and like I never imagined to be a father, right? Like that, this whole, especially I think because of like the way I saw my family, evolve and how it happened.
Yeah.
I was like, like that whole like domestic life isn't really for me. But now when I see her, I reflect so much on the things that I felt like I lacked, like the things that like I wish I had, and it incentivizes me to be like, like when I see my daughter, bro, like I love my daughter.
Yeah.
And so I just see me just in like little girl form, and I'm just like, yo, like I have to show up for you every single day, whether I have a good day or a bad day. Like I look at her and I'm just like, yo, this is for you.
Yeah. These little memories, right, that these kids, like, for example, if you travel at a young age with the kids, they're not going to remember the memories, but they're going to remember the feeling that lives in their soul forever. Now, like, when you're showing up with them every day, just working hard, grinding, and being there, they're going to remember, like, I saw my dad every day. And they're going to be like, I think at least that helped me because, for example, when my dad said no on something and he wouldn't tell me why, I'd say, why? He's like, Don't ask that question again. I'm like, okay. And then in my mind the whole time, I'm just like spiraling again. I'm like, why'd he say no? Bro, it's not it. Yeah. Is it that bad? What if I just tried it a little bit? Like, is it going to hurt? Is it going to kill me?
Yeah.
Like, why is it bad? Right? And then another bad response would be like, because God said so. Like, yo, okay.
They used to really do that, though.
Yeah. They used to do all kinds of stuff like that or guilt us. They're like, you don't love me?
Yeah.
You should eat that if you love me. And it's like, well, why are you creating an unhealthy relationship between me and this task or eating just so I can show you that I love you?
Sure.
Like,
right.
why now do I have to prove myself to you that I love you?
Yeah.
It should be unconditional, right? These little micro strategies that our parents did with us. And I like to think that we're born better and to be better than our parents. We've seen all of their mistakes. And again, I'm not crapping on anyone's parents. They did the best they could with what they were given.
Right.
We, in our positions, thank God, have a better chance of killing it more with our kids.
We have like the advantage that level up.
Exactly. Along with tech, time, better types of brain processing to deal with situations, this and that. We know exactly what to do. And it's not just through experience or what we're told, but like in the end, even as adults, right? Our parents, in the end, they don't ever want what's bad for us. Like, this is what most young kids, they have a problem with, right? So back to when my dad would say, no, don't do it, it's bad for you. Okay, I identify that it's bad for you, but why is it bad for you is a very big factor, right? So what I didn't understand then that I understand now as a parent is that, like, your parents won't say no for no reason. They know it's bad, and yeah, they should have explained it, but it's not like they want you to get hurt or they want you to be poor or live on the street. They don't want any of that stuff. They want you always to be better than you. They want you to make sure that you have a better life than they did. That's why they're working 24/7. But where they messed up was not explaining things, right? Yeah, sometimes you get that annoying ass kid who's like, but why? And you just be like, you know what? Do it. Do that bad thing, and then you tell me why. You tell me why instead of me explaining it.
Yeah.
Like my son, for example, yesterday, we had like a hot pot, right, of tea. And I was like, Issa, don't touch it. It's hot. He's like, but why is it hot? Like, is it really hot? I was like, you know what? Go ahead, touch it. And my wife is like, what are you doing? I was like, no. Let him touch it. He's in a controlled environment. Yeah. Let him.
You have to find out somewhere, I guess.
Yes. So he touched it and literally kept his hand on there for like 2 seconds. And then he grabbed his hand. He just
like, yeah.
He wasn't crying.
You're right. That was hot.
Yeah, he wasn't crying. He wasn't upset. He's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't joking.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, take me seriously, bro.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
It's these little wins that we have with these kids and the things that we learn from our parents. And now, I would encourage anyone, like, if the parents are still alive, just talk to them about your problems. Like, dude, we carry baggage growing up, right?
For sure.
So we still don't communicate properly with our parents, even to this day, unless some people had a breakthrough earlier on. And even though we have our own kids, we have our own drama, this and that, I encourage everyone that if you have an issue, not with your spouse, don't talk to your parents about your spouse, because your parents will obviously protect you first, and they'll put it in your hands. Yeah. They won't say that you're wrong. I mean, there's a small percentage that may be very objective and be like, listen, you're actually wrong. But in, every parent's first reaction is protect the kid, protect my child.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your children, their grandchildren, you can give them like all your problems with them and be like, how do I fix this? What should I do differently? Some parents will be like, well, what I did with you was I just gave you a spanking and you were fine. And then you're just like, all right, now I know what not to do.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, thank you. But you could tell your parents, and this goes a long way. You can ask them, be like, what can I do that you did differently with my kid that you wish you could have done with me?
I like that.
Right?
Ask them the question.
Exactly. They're going to get thinking, and then they're going to be like, So my son or my daughter, they're killing it. They have a kid, and they're asking me, what could I have done differently? So now I have to think myself, how would I have been better to raise that kid? And then they're going to implement that. I mean, one, they're going to get a huge ego boost. They're going to be like, wow, my kid really appreciated the upbringing. Two, how can I make it where I didn't screw up? But I'm not going to tell them that, But Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like, who knew two gym rats and tech like guys would talk about raising kids all of a sudden? Like I said, I still don't like. I feel like I'm a father. You know, I feel the love and everything and the warmth.
Yeah.
But then, like when I'm out in the world, I'm just like, I need to do better.
I still feel like a lone wolf, I guess.
Right?
Like I still feel like I'm doing my thing. I have this family. I have the wife, I have a daughter, but then I still feel like I have more work to do.
Yeah.
Actually, Hamilton got me on that.
Yeah.
Like that phrase. Like I think he finds out that his best friend dies, and he's about to be like done with his whole role in like the war or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he finds out his best friend dies, and that's when he considers going into like presidency or whatever. But it was like that phrase, like I have so much more to do, like gets me to, like, it always got me to think about like my life and like where I am. Like, yes, I have these things, but like I still feel like I'm on this personal quest to like achieve everything that I want to for myself, right? Financially, and just like go after these goals, crush it, and just like really provide for my family and just like do what I want to do.
I'm definitely in the same boat as you. I've seen, and it's just how we perceive things too, right? And I guess that's because we're in the middle of consumer America and things like that and materialistic stuff. I've seen people who are millionaires, and thank God, because they patronize the restaurant, they come and eat, and they have the most amazing cars, the most expensive cars and everything like that. And yet when they come here, they talk to me about their problems that they're having, like if their kid's estranged from them,
Yeah.
or if their spouse doesn't even talk to them anymore, this and that. I had one guy, he had like 3 houses in Manhattan or whatever, and he was working in a top job in corporate America, and his parents lived here, and he would visit once a month, have a cigar and eat and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, this guy has a beautiful car, he has family, and he has like all of this property, and he's just killing it. And then he wasn't happy.
You would think, right?
Yeah, he wasn't happy. It's what we show to the world that we kind of mask everything. But I have another friend, he's working, he's grinding, he has like 8 businesses, and he has like several cars, all well over 100K. And whether he bought them cash or not, which, again, people could just finance a car and then may look like they have a crazy car, but their bank in the end owns everything.
Yeah.
And like every time I call him, like he's a very dear, close friend to me, and he's always working. He's in the office, and I feel for him because I'm in the office right now. We're doing this podcast, you're at the restaurant, and it's like, thank God, home is very close. Between lunch and dinner, I can go and visit the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But back to, grinding is like we grind because we need to pay the bills. We grind so that our kids can get a good education. And that's the role of a man, to provide.
Right.
It's just that, when it comes to our mental being, what can we do to make sure we don't break down or we stop? Because the minute that we stop, dude,
Yeah.
nothing gets paid.
Well, I think you're right. You gotta, like, it's like this whole question of like, am I to be selfless?
Yeah.
And give everything to the family and like that? Or like, it's like trying to find that balance between,
Am I fulfilled?
Right? Because like once you jump into that, then you're living for that happiness of others, which is not a bad thing, because like it should make you proud in some way, but then like you're lacking from yourself, and it's like, how do you pour into your own cup with those things?
The way I think of it, and I know this is unhealthy, is like, I look at it as like, you don't deserve this yet, and that you need to suffer first before you get happiness. And I know that's if people hearing this are like, wow, that person really needs help, or that's not how it should be. Like, for me, that's the mantra, that suffer now, but create placeholders where you don't forget what you're doing now, so that when you make it, you can actually take a step back and be like, no, I put in my hours. I deserve this.
Absolutely.
Like in our dictionary, we don't think of I deserve this as like a thing. Like, we're like, we can do better. We can do better. We can. We want to get that down payment for the house. We want to get that car for the wife so she can take the kids everywhere, this and that. We want that. We know we're the providers. And yet we don't either know where to start, or we just 10x the same job we're doing, thinking that working harder, working more of a slave to someone else would get us there.
Yeah.
But that's why, the most amazing thing here in America is the freedom of information. You can go to a library and you can get books for free. You can go on the internet. You can go on YouTube. And I know it can be dangerous more on the internet compared to books, because books, they go through a publishing process. They have multiple editors and stuff like that. They fact check everything, which I'll always recommend reading a book over watching a 10-minute video on YouTube,
Right.
unless people cite things, which most of them don't.
Yeah.
But learning how to kill it in life now more than ever is easier. We're surrounded by losers more and more, bro. Like, we're surrounded by losers. So it's much easier for us to become winners.
Yeah.
It's easier for us. Like, I was talking to someone and they're like, a young kid, he's like, I just want to be a millionaire by 25. I was like, well, how do you think you're going to do that? They're like, I don't know, maybe like be a doctor and then work hard. I'm like, so you want to work hard now at education, be a doctor, be in debt like almost $1 million. So how are you going to be a millionaire if you're in debt almost $1 million?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but they get paid like 250, 350, depending
They're
on
in
what.
debt most of their lives.
Yeah,
bro. It's like paying off school.
They're not even business oriented, is some of them, That's why you want to do something, you want to be something. Someone told me generational wealth starts with like 3 things. And I don't know if this is true, but it does sound very interesting. It's stocks and bonds,
I believe.
right? Get in the right place at the right time, take a risk.
Yeah.
Owning your own business,
Absolutely.
whether it's small or big, there's more benefits for the small business owner or medium business owner to grow up and scale this and that and create a value for that business than ever before. And owning property. Property in America every year goes up, range of like from 5 to 15%, depending on where you are, right? And those 3 things really help set the tone for your kids, your grandkids, the long term, right? So I think it's more important, more than ever, to just educate our friends. Like when someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I want to open a business. This is what I have. Tell me how it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've even talked.
Yeah, we've talked about that
kind of
too.
stuff.
If you want to open a restaurant, I can show you how to do everything. Or if you want to open like a small business on like car detailing, right? There's ways to do it, right? But in that specific type of business, you have to be really good at the job. You have to understand your costs, and you have to kill it in marketing. It's all word of mouth. Or if someone wants to be like, I want to get into Verizon retail stores, right? Okay, cool. You want to do that, but you have to have really good employees who knows what they're talking about, not just sales reps who just want to push the most expensive phone.
Yeah.
Right? If someone comes in and they're like, listen, there's something on my bill, that sales rep has to spend at least an hour with this customer on helping them out. They'll walk away believing in the brand, and they'll also walk away believing in your store, knowing that this person at this store took the time to help me with a dumb little thing that took an hour, but was there holding my hand. These little things, like when it comes to businesses, it goes a long way for the customer. You want customers, right, to patronize your business. You want them to let other people know that their experiences were great. Now, it's not all like positive. You're going to have customers who leave reviews without telling you to your face. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. Like, I believe, when you want to talk to a customer and they have a problem, you fix the problem. Or what am I going to lose? I'm going to lose a couple dollars here and there if I comp them their meal. So what? I'd rather have them walk out happy. They drove all the way here. They paid for everything else. They took time out of their hand. They wanted to make a memory, and yet they weren't satisfied. So that's just my 2 cents when it comes to like small business and information on helping the younger generation, and hopefully they don't get lazy about it, dude. I hear like a lot of business owner friends, they're just like, hire these kids, and then they just do the bare minimum.
They're just chilling.
Yeah, until they get fired. And then they're just like, oh, why am I getting fired all of a sudden? It's like all of a sudden not their fault,
It's interesting though, I guess, because like you would think, I think with seeing my dad work so much, I think I've got that instilled in me to like be like, yo, like you got to give it your all. Like when you're at a job, right? Like it's not a competition, but like you're kind of like trying to show off your worth versus your team members' worth, right? Like at Apple, we always made it a fun thing to be like, yo, I'm gonna sell the most today, but I'm gonna get like the attachments and all that stuff. Like there's that ethic in you. And like I don't know any kids besides my nephews who are younger, but even with them, I see that like, they have it good.
Yeah.
And they have a great life. Their parents work hard, but like you could see that like
You put them out in the workforce and they're like,
no,
what
do I do? Yeah.
Yeah. You give them a screwdriver and you're like, go tight that screw.
Like this isn't my iPad.
Yeah. No, it's just without a doubt, dude. Like, it's so funny. Like, this morning when I was like, all right, to my son, I was like, all right, kid, you got to take these backpacks upstairs and help your mom.
Right.
He's like, but they're so heavy.
Right.
I was like, I didn't say take both at once.
Yeah.
Take one at a
Well, it's like my daughter with cleaning up. Like she loves to play with her toys, but then she leaves them everywhere. And it's like, dude, I just cleaned like 10 minutes ago. This was clean.
Yeah.
And now everything's back on the floor. Like, come on.
So I built a Lego table for the kids and to put the Legos in the middle. But sometimes they leave the Legos on the floor or outside. And we have the baby, you don't want him to like eat anything. So what I told him was like, listen, here's 2 Lego tools that helps you take it off the table. Use it. But more than ever, if I see a Lego on the floor, it's not going to be pretty. Right. And they left it on the floor a couple of times. I've stepped on them, and people who's had Legos but without kids, put a Lego on the floor, step on it, see how annoying it is, right? So one day the kids, they're like, all right, it's time to sleep. And then they left the Legos on the floor. So I was like, guys, come back. They're like, okay, like what? I said, can you step on these Legos for me? They're like, why? Like, just do it. So they step on it. They're like, ow, it hurts. I was like, that's what happens to me every night. I said, do you want me to be in pain? Or do you want anyone else to be in pain when we're stepping over your Legos?
Yeah.
We're just going to throw them out at this point, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, crap. No, it hurts someone and we'll have less Legos tomorrow. So at that point, now they know. And sometimes I have to remind them, but they clean up. They don't just drag along about it too. But yeah, dude, I was really happy you came by today. I know it was a spur of the moment.
Yeah. Dude, thank you for...
We should have more of these, without a doubt. All right, next time I do want to go more in depth in the health aspects of changing your body along with getting that mindset in too. I've been fasting now for like 16 hours. By 12, it'll be 17. I'm going to have a big bowl of pasta and meat sauce. And thank you for taking the time out of your workday to come out too.
Of course.
And that means a lot. And again, huge shout out to Contrast Media for coming here to set everything up too. You guys hit them up on Instagram. They're really, really good at what they do. And share this video and this podcast with your friends, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. So thank you again, Zeke. I appreciate you, bro. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for having me.